It's time for our daily dose of cope, and we need to watch this MAGA meltdown as the Trump administration announces magically, we have looked into it, there is no Jeffrey Epstein list. They are really melting down. I'm going to get to that, but let's get to poor and unhealthy MAGA first. This woman right here, she says, look, we're going to continue to raid these farms. We're going to continue to kick out the labor. Yeah, your labor force is gone, but don't worry about it. There are so many people that are on Medicaid. We're going to just put them on the farm and make them work. So that's what this article is talking about. AG Secretary says able-bodied Medicaid recipients should replace immigrant farm workforce. USDA Secretary says there's no amnesty from mass deportations for farm labor, but that enforcement should be strategic. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said millions of adult Medicaid participants who will face stricter work requirements under GOP mega bill should replace foreign farm workers deported under the Trump administration's immigration policies. So get ready to go to work. There will be no amnesty, Rollins said Tuesday during an event at the USDA headquarters highlighting the administration's efforts to strengthen farm and national security policy. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way. And we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation. So there she has it. There you have it.
But I can't underscore enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Farmers and some lawmakers have expressed alarm over the potential impact of the administration's deportation policies on the largely immigrant workforce that keeps the food system running. Some of Trump's most ardent supporters have criticized the administration giving special treatment to farms. Like literally, y'all, Americans cannot handle this farm work. That is the reason why immigrants come up yearly or just work there and do this work. This is going to be a hot mess. This is literally just going to be a hot mess. Now let's go to this post before we get to the MAGA meltdown over the Jeffrey Epstein list. So in this picture, you can see that there's some Jesus hands. We got some clouds. We got a rainbow. Of course, the American flag. So this must be Republican Jesus. And then we got, of course, a bald eagle. This is perfect for this post. It says this big beautiful bill that was passed. I'm sure there's some good things in it, but at the flip of the coin, there are some things that are not so beautiful about it. My beautiful bride's job, which she loves and which helps a lot of people out there, will be no more as of September 30th this year. So celebrate all you want, while others will be looking for new jobs. I believe things should be voted for separately. Not tons of stuff all in one bill that's over 1,000 pages long. Jeez, it just isn't fair to try and pass so much in one bill. I do support President Trump, and I voted for him every time he has run. I just wish he would have approached this bill differently. Too much writing on one bill, in my opinion. May God continue to bless the United States of America, one nation under God. So may God bless the United States and nowhere else. Republican Jesus is looking over us with an American eagle and a rainbow and everything. This person at the bottom named C says, having the day you voted for. He voted to have his wife not have a job. So I really do hope that they are completely stressed out, that they go to bed stressed, that they wake up stressed, that they get absolutely no sleep, that their cortisol level spikes, and that their waistline increases by 3 to 5 inches, just enough to where they have to get new pants, but they have run out of money because his wife ran out of money because she lost her job. That is what I pray for these MAGA people. So the Trump administration said that there is no list, even though a few weeks ago they were like the MAGA influencers were holding up their binders talking about we got it. But now there's no list. There's nothing to see here. They looked into it, even though Pam Bondi was talking about it, Dan Bongino, Alex Jones, crying Alex Jones. They were talking about this Epstein list. And now all of a sudden there's no list. There's nothing to see here. They have investigated. Absolutely nothing to do with Trump. He is absolutely cleared. There's nothing to see. And so a reporter asked the question, like, are you really saying that there's no list? And Trump says, are you still asking about Jeffrey Epstein? Trump cannot believe that this reporter had the nerve to do that. And this is what's causing many MAGA people to melt down. This woman says, I voted for this man 3 times. I campaigned for him. I worked my butt off, and I feel like I do not recognize him at all. This is sickening. So this is that same lady. Her name is Trisha. She says, I've been to 42 Trump rallies. After the first impeachment, I drove to D.C. and spent 2 weeks walking the halls of Congress to encourage Republicans to support President Trump. I sat in the hearings and supported President Trump, and I was there the night he was acquitted. She's just going on and on talking about how much she supports Trump. She continues, I worked for the last 3.5 years to help free the January 6ers. I organized Trump events. I became a state delegate and then a national delegate. I recently made a donation to the Smithsonian in honor of the January 6ers. I say all of this to tell you I am done. President Trump's lack of concern for the Epstein victims and his callous response to the reporter's question ends my relationship with him. I will not support a man who denies justice to the victims and who in this case are children and mocks the question. She was perfectly fine with an insurrection and cops dying and being heard and trying to overthrow a government, but now she is done. This response by Alice to Trisha is hilarious. She calls her a liberal hag. She says, you're not fooling anyone. And then Trisha says, I was a Trump delegate, idiot. This is the based misogynist. That is literally in his name. But he's also upset about the Epstein file stuff. He says, we voted for Trump because he was supposed to be different. They're all the effing same cowards. These people are really upset, but this whole same siding thing is so silly. Here's a Donald Trump post that has nothing to do with the Epstein files. Look at these comments. This person says, release the names. We're not all so stupid that we can't see it. It's another government cover-up. Release the names. Who was involved in messing with kids? We all want to know. We won't stop asking. He wasn't in prison for nothing, and neither was Maxwell. Zavarian says, release the Epstein list now. Steve says, where's the Epstein list? Trickle says, release the names. These people want to see these names. More melting down. This person says, this apparently there was never any Epstein files debacle is probably going to be my last straw with this whole sham country thing we've been doing. And then this person says, this is the last straw. I've been strawless for some time now. And Steve says, it's just such a sham. And this person says, I mean, like all of it. I mean, obviously, I am a libertarian. But yeah, you can see the point that they are all at their very last straw. Or some people, like this person, has been strawless. This was posted in the conservative subreddit. Irish Wolfhounder, who is a Trumpomaniac, says, I've supported Trump very vocally through some of his more controversial acts, but I think this line right here broke me. If he's okay with hundreds of American girls getting raped by elites, then he is part of the problem. America is run by aristocrats who steal from us and grape with immunity. They built a machine to protect them. Unless he does something substantial on this, I'm done voting. I will not support these people. And then Christopher Roberto says, yeah, that's not going to go over well. This person at the bottom, Supreme, maybe Chancellor, says, wow, this is bad. Lemon Bay Patty says, I'm angry. I trust Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, but somebody is lying about Epstein. Bondi had the files on her desk, and now there are no files. What the F is going on? Something smells really bad. And then Alex says, I've trusted attorneys, managers, ex-girlfriends, auto mechanics, dentists, fellow musicians, and various others that in retrospect turned to be behaving dishonest towards me in various ways and had to be let go. We all make mistakes. It's not to be taken personally. You learn from the experience and move on. Ma'am, respectfully, it's time to dump Pam, Kash, and Dan. Maybe even Donald Trump as well, because he is a liar and they are covering up for him. Why do they trust this man, or why won't they admit that he's a liar is beyond me. But that is where we are right now. They are really melting down.
This huge MAGA influencer who went to the White House back in February and paraded around the Epstein Files Part 1 is now coming out and saying like, hey, we got duped by Donald Trump. In a long post on social media, he said, as one of the influencers who was given the now infamous Epstein binder, I want to share a few thoughts. I understand the rage people have for demanding the Epstein client list and arrest. Every influencer that day feels that same anger watching people get away with it. 2, we had no idea we would receive these binders that day. We were originally invited for a meeting with J.D. Vance in the White House, and that was it. We all paid for our flights and hotels out of pocket and carved out time to go. None of us even knew who was invited. We ended up meeting all of these people, yada yada. Then 3, we had a surprise meeting with the Attorney General, and she handed us the Epstein file binders. We all heard on the news that night before that she'd be releasing these files that day, so it was surreal. 4, the photo shoot, that photo we just saw, was not planned. We were walking from the White House to the Eisenhower building, and about 50 photographers were waiting outside. We were told a lot of the info in the binders was not new, but that some of it was new. If it weren't for this guy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Then 7, influencers do not control the Epstein files. We aren't the federal government. We're regular people who've become outspoken activists. We can't rewrite history, yada, yada, yada. But what he's saying here is they got duped. Trump said like, oh, we're going to be releasing all these documents. And now fast forward to now, they're saying there's no client list and they're not releasing anything further. Now, this guy's a known liar. So take all of what he just said with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, even the MAGA influencers who went to the White House for this massive file release are saying like, yeah, not great.
Some of the president's most strident supporters are furious at his Department of Justice after concluded there would be no further disclosures of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents, and that, basically, everyone should just drop it and move on.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. So I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country, and they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Do you see what you've done, Pam Bondi? You have made Alex Jones cry and possibly puke, which he only does a few times a year because of how much integrity he has.
I voted for Donald Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I am prepared to die on this hill. If Donald Trump is part of the Epstein list as why he has decided to pretend like it doesn't exist anymore, then the war that I've been waging on liberals and everyone that has been completely insane, I plan to wage on Donald Trump if he cannot explain or make sense of this soon. It's pointing to that he is implicated to the fullest degree if he is going to pretend like this doesn't exist. Jeffrey Epstein isn't a big deal. When he said today, I was like, bro.
I just want to start by saying that if you had any self-awareness whatsoever, which I understand is a bridge too far in most instances, especially this one, you would realize that all of those insane people and liberals that you've been waging war against might have been right about a lot of other things too, including and especially fucking this, which we have been nonstop fucking talking about this. The most surprising thing is that this is a surprise to you. Honestly.